Popular opinion during Street Fighter IV's reign was that DJ was a bottom tier character, and part of the reason for this was his supposed lack of big damage combos. While not as easy to win with as some of the other Street Fighter IV fighters, it is incorrect to think that DJ lacks damaging combo options. To better understand this though, we first need to know what his heavy damage combos require to be effective. Specifically, DJ's big damage combos require the following. 1. They generally require investment in super meter, at least 2 bars, more often 4. 2. They must minimize the number of starting hits as much as possible to reduce damage scaling. 3. They have to be practical, that is, you should have opportunities to land one or more of them during a match once you have the muscle memory down. And 4. You should be able to apply them in as many different situations as possible. For example, on opponents who are on the ground, in the air, up close, far away, etc., to keep them continuously off guard. As it turns out, DJ has many ways to land big damage combos within these requirements, so let's take a look at a few of them in a bit more depth. Note that the button notation I use for these combos is based on the old Street Fighter II cabinet naming system. Here's a pic of what that looks like in order to minimize any confusion. With that out of the way, let's begin. The main issue with doing drag kick into a heavy damage super combo and ultra from a cross up is having to put in additional hits to obtain sufficient charge, thus increasing the amount of damage scaling. The following combo does a good job of minimizing the hits before the super and ultra, though it does require some pretty tight execution to pull off consistently. It also works on all opponents, which is not always the case for DJ's bigger combos. Here's another cross-up combo that does even more damage than the previous one. Its main drawback is that it only works on a smaller subset of the Street Fighter IV cast and also tends to be situation specific. Sometimes you get the non-cancelling version of the forward kick depending on where you land. Still, it's a good one to keep in your back pocket for when the situation arises. Lastly, the late cancelling frames from a low short actually give DJ enough time to store a down charge during a cross-up, thus minimizing damage scaling and giving him the option of big damage from his Ultra 2 the climax beat, as this clip now shows. Some of DJ's most damaging corner combos use his short dread to juggle into a super combo. With no starting attack though, it is hard to hit confirm from the dread into the super successfully. For this reason, a low short is often added first to allow a proper hit confirm. This minimizes the amount of damage scaling and also provides you enough time to register the successful low attack before committing to the super follow-up. The version of super required to land maximum hits and damage often depends on the character you are doing it on. Not all opponents get hit the same number of times either. In addition, you can frequently extend the combo into a heavy damage juggling ultra on many characters. Again, the version of super required to add on the ultra depends on the character you are doing it on. Be aware that on some characters like Guile, the ultra juggled is not possible at all in the corner. Luckily, these particular characters tend to get hit by most, if not all, hits of the super, resulting in excellent damage anyway. To end this section, here's one additional way to land the short dread to super and ultra combination on a cornered opponent, although the damage here ends up being less due to use of the focus. Short dread juggle combos into super are best used in the corner, but they can also be done on many characters who are nowhere near it. In some cases, almost a full screen away from the corner. For example, the following combo has the benefit of doing good damage and also bringing your opponent closer to the corner where his or her options become more limited. Note that the version of super you use depends on the character and how far you and your opponent are from the corner when you start the combo. Likewise, many opponents can again be further juggled into Dee Jay's Ultra 1 for great damage. This very much depends on which version of the super you do and the distance from the corner you are when you start the combo. Shoto characters seem to be particularly easy to do this combo on. Interestingly, this combo will even work on some characters like Rufus, who can't be easily juggled from super to ultra in the opponent in corner situation. Once you understand the proper distance to get the best juggles for super and ultra, you can begin using it in other fighting situations. Here's one involving a focus crumble as a starting attack. And here are a couple involving a counter hit Fierce. Unfortunately, the attack data on the Fierce is not great, making it far from practical. But still, it's good to know these damage possibilities are out there if the opportunity arises. The max out is less potent in combos from the ground compared to Dee Jay's other specials. The max out's real hidden power, however, lies in its ability to juggle into Dee Jay's super when successfully landed on a jumping opponent. This is particularly useful against opponents who try to neutral jump to avoid your short drag pressure. In all such cases, you need to cancel into the super from the max out's early animation frames. This first combo works on most of the cast, but the number of hits you get, and thus the damage you do, depends on many factors such as the opponent's hurt boxes, the height at which you hit them, and whether or not they are throwing attack at the time of their jump. The best version of the super to use for optimal juggling is also character dependent. Furthermore, similar to the short drag kick version, you can sometimes follow up into a juggling ultra if you hit the jumping opponent from the right distance and while they are still relatively high in the air. This combo is easier to land on some opponents than others and tends to be situation specific. But if you concede in time to hit confirm, it is a stylish, devastating combo to land. The best version of the super to use for optimal juggling is once again character dependent. Interestingly enough, DJ can also do versions of this combo from a fair distance outside the corner, though you'll usually want to use a stronger strength super in such situations. The max out into super combination has the same damage considerations as for the corner version, so be sure to keep these in mind in order to maximize your hits and damage. Also, juggling into the Ultra after the super in this situation appears to be easier to do on some characters than others. Once again, Shotos are highly vulnerable to eating this combo when they jump in. The main strength of DJ's focus attack is that it allows him to hit opponents who whiff an attack, but also crumple them, thereby giving him enough time to dash in and unleash his heavier normals and charged attacks. Here's one example. Note that you can't buffer a low fierce into a hyper fist on all opponents. In these cases, you can either do a strong punch into a hyper fist, or in most cases you can do one of the following combos. Note that a level 3 focus will give you an even more damaging combo in these scenarios, if you can get it before the opponent recovers. Also, don't forget that you can use DJ's focus attack to crumple an opponent at level 2 after the first hit of a medium drag kick, leading to useful combos like this one. As well as even more stylish damaging combos such as this. Or you can leave out the Fierce and Hyper Fist altogether and just do the Ultra 2 after the crumple. This is a good alternative near the end of a round when the opponent's life bar is lower and the Ultra 2 tends to scale for damage a lot more. DJ's Jackknife Special, or Up Kicks, has relatively fewer useful damage applications than his other specials, but there is at least one heavy hitter that you can use when the opponent is close to the corner. One of the simplest punishes to do against opponents who leave themselves open is just to cancel a successful roundhouse drag kick into the super and then go into the Sobot Festival Ultra. This is a good punish to use against opponents who whiff special attacks like dragon punches from somewhere other than close to you, because the drag kick helps you cover ground before you follow up with the super and ultra. DJ's regular Hyper Fist has fewer setups for comboing into Super and Ultras, but given the fact that it is DJ's most damaging special, we should consider at least one. The low short's main advantage in this combo is that it has enough late cancelling frames to allow a successful charge into the Hyper Fist off a jump in. This reduces the amount of damage scaling and pushback on DJ's attack, which would otherwise make the Hyper Fist hard to land. Cancelling the Hyper Fist into the Super after only its first two hits further minimizes the damage scaling, leading to a nice fat damage combo when successfully landed. DJ's close roundhouse actually hits twice and is cancelable into his Super from either hit, allowing one of the most damaging combos in his arsenal. The problem is that you have to be really close to an opponent when you do it, so it's only really good when an opponent whiffs a special right in front of you. You can, however, use a roundhouse slide to help get you to the perfect distance for that heavy damage assault. Or you can just do a crumbling focus attack first for slightly less damage. DJ's roundhouse slide also has some useful juggling properties on a jumping opponent, but you have to hit them relatively high in their jump to get them. And in the case of his Super, do the combo when they are relatively close to the corner. Lastly, keep in mind that DJ can cancel into his Super from almost all of his normal attacks. Here are some of the most practical uses of these normal cancels. In particular, the low short is the move you are likely to cancel into Super the most, given how fast it is to strike and recover. It also keeps the damage nice and high by minimizing the number of starting hits. Furthermore, you can hit confirm into the short from other light attacks, although damage scaling becomes more of a factor in such cases. Because damage scaling increases with each successive hit after the first couple, placing DJ's heavier attacks earlier in the combo is a good way to give it greater damage factor. Here's a good example of one such combo. Also, this cross-up combo is a good all-purpose one which works on most, if not all, members of the Street Fighter IV cast. And to finish, here's a normal cancel into Super which maximizes damage when you successfully jump an opponent's projectile. That covers the most common and practical heavy damage combos that I've discovered for DJ. These are just some of the possibilities I've discovered to help maximize DJ's combo potential. Feel free to mix and match these options to make your DJ a force to be reckoned with. For more information on DJ combos and the specific characters they work on, be sure to check out my DJ Tech Journal at the link in the video summary below. And when all else fails, always look for new creative ways to beat them with the beat. Here are a few final ways to do just that.